When I was 25, I just walked away from a successful business in Manchester, which everyone said was a stupid idea. And I got back to my house in Bolton and I sat there thinking, what the hell do I do now? And 12 months later, I was closing deals from an apartment in Ibiza. And for the past 3 years, I've pretty much just done that the whole time. I've traveled the world, closing deals from my laptop, earning more money than when I was running a business. So in this video, I'm going to break down how it happened, how I did it, so you can basically just do the same thing. No matter who you are, no matter what experience you've got, you can do this as well.
Maybe you're like me, where every vacation I ever went on, my entire life, I never wanted to go back home. I never wanted to go back to England. I just wanted to stay on holiday all the time. And it wasn't as much the relaxing, it was more just a way of life. So maybe you're seeking that level of location freedom or financial freedom. Basically, you want the ability to earn serious money without being tied to a desk. So I'll share what changed everything for me. And it all came down to one thing: learning how to close high ticket deals remotely. It took me about 3 months to get up to speed because I did have a sales background. I'd already been in sales for 5 years. I had a successful sales agency. So in my head, I was already pretty good at sales. But it required a real 3-month ramp up period to get to the level that's expected in this industry. But around the 3-4 month mark, I hit my first 10K month. And then I stayed in my house in Bolton, grinding away, getting better for another maybe 6 months until I decided, you know what, I'm actually going to take this step and move abroad and try it out and see what it was like. And I was closing deals from my laptop in Ibiza. And I thought, yeah, this definitely beats sitting in traffic for 3 hours a day. This video is the exact roadmap that I followed, the mistakes that I made, the mindset shifts that changed how I look at things. And this video should basically give you step by step what to do so you can do it in a way quicker time than it took me, because I was just figuring it out on my own for a lot of it. So I'll give you the exact roadmap, what worked for me. Let me paint a bit of a picture for you. So around 2019, I'd spent years building a pretty successful property sale company. And it was in the city, in Manchester. We had nice offices, we had a team, it was good money. The business was respected, but that included really early alarms, 8 months of darkness, like in Manchester, pitch black, driving to the gym before work, squeezing in a 45-minute workout, and just not being aligned with the country, that sort of work culture, the corporate lifestyle, just not being aligned with it whatsoever. Waiting literally 2 to 3 hours per day commuting to the place of work. If you think about that logically, you're basically wasting like not far off a quarter of your life in transit. It's ridiculous, it's pointless, unless you live right next door to an office. But ultimately, if there's any sort of commute, even if it's an hour, it's a crazy amount of time that you're wasting. So I walked away, I handed everything over, and I walked away with no plan whatsoever. I went back to my house because I just had this gnawing feeling inside that I needed to move out of the UK. For whatever reason, it just was not to my taste, ultimately. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have lovely lives, pleasant lives, but to me, it just was not to my taste whatsoever. And I know I needed to find a way to get myself out of the UK, but also I got used to earning a certain level of income, and I'm very aspirational. So I wanted to be a high earner as well. So I needed to step away from what I was doing to figure it out. And I was thinking, okay, I know how to sell, I know how to close. I've closed, at that point, hundreds of millions in sales. Through the agency, I trained sales teams, and I thought, right, I know how to sell, but I don't really want another job. Looking at jobs in other locations, thinking, oh, maybe I could go and get a sales job in Barcelona or Dubai, and I thought, it's still not really ticking the boxes. And then I stumbled across remote high ticket sales, and that's where I got my first mentor, a guy called Adam Serra. I could be wrong, but I think he was potentially one of the early movers in this space, and he really caught the trend. And he'd been an NLP practitioner, I believe. He was really big on tonality. So I came into it thinking, I know how to sell, I'm already amazing at sales. Turns out I'm not at all. This space requires an elite level of sales. Something that you are never taught in traditional sales, pretty much. I'm sure there is outliers out there. I'm sure there is sales managers and founders who have taken a slice of this industry and brought it in. That could be the case, but traditional sales, corporate sales, from my experience, are so outdated. They're literally 10 years behind this space. This is like the Premier League, the Silicon Valley of sales. So I started undergoing mentorship with Adam. He was helping me, looking at my calls, reviewing them, giving me pointers on a weekly basis. And I attribute all of my success to that learning phase, that 3 to 6 months of basically being quite shit and just putting the reps in. And when you've got a mentor, someone that can look at your calls and they go, you did that good, that wasn't so good, that was better, try this. That's how you get better at this. It's as simple as that. And that was about a 3 or 4 month period. And from that point, I got better and better and better. Hit my first 10K months, hit my second 10K month, and I thought, okay, I'm into a groove here. I still want to achieve more than this, but I think I'm in the position now where I can try working from somewhere else. And I still remember closing my first high ticket deal outside of like an office or my home office. And I was in an apartment in Ibiza, and I just closed a 5K deal. So I got like £500 commission. I was a tiny bit hungover as well, which added to the gravitas of the occasion. And I'm looking over my balcony thinking, yeah, this beats the office any day. And I thought, this actually works. I'd gone through a cycle before this of always looking at these online opportunities, things like drop shipping, things like Amazon FBA, things like setting up YouTube channels, which is what I'm doing now obviously, but a slightly different kind, like making these videos that generate ad revenue. I'd looked at every opportunity and they all screamed scam, right? Some people think high ticket sales is a scam because it's been tarred with that same brush, but realistically it's just sales at an elite level done remotely. That's the simplest way to think about it. But I still had that feeling, is this too good to be true? Can I actually do this? And it was at around that between 6 and 12 months mark when I thought, this is probably going to be something that I do for the rest of my life because it ticks all boxes. There's no overheads, there's no team relying on you, you don't have to go into an office, you can do it all from your laptop, you can do it anywhere in the world. And it was that moment when it shifted and I thought, okay, this is really cool. And I probably celebrated by going out to like Pikes or something and getting absolutely wasted at that point in my life. But yeah, it was a really special moment because I'd made a similar amount to what a lot of people earn in a week in an hour call from a kitchen table in an apartment in Ibiza. And I thought, okay, I've sort of cracked it. Let's keep going. And that moment was when I knew I was never going back. And I haven't. And since that point, traveled around for a little bit, tried out some different areas, and ultimately found a home here in Bali. I've been here for the past 2 years, but I've also been exploring different areas in Asia, decided to leave all my stuff in my house. So whether you're in sales now, whether you've got a corporate job, whether you've not actually even scratched the surface of the traditional, so maybe you're in a normal sales job now, maybe you've just got a normal 9 to 5. Potentially, you could be thinking, where the hell do I go next? Or maybe you've already seen remote high ticket sales floating around on the internet. I'll break down what you need to know and do what I've done, basically. So the first and most important rule here that, to be honest, probably trips up 80% of people before they've even started, is to learn the skill properly. As I'm sure you can imagine, I get probably about 5 to 10 direct messages a day of people in recruitment or real estate or a corporate saying, I just need a job. I don't need to learn the skill. And it's a common misconception because they don't know yet. They don't know the level that they're competing at here. But sales in this space is not about just telling a prospect the features and the benefits. It's not about just reading a script or being really pushy and getting someone across the line. It's about psychology. It's about identity. And ultimately, you are a facilitator of change often. You have to become what I call the trusted advisor. This is almost like a therapist, a lawyer, someone who's genuinely guiding a decision, someone who's trusted and someone who's actually there to help. And that requires a few specific things. It requires discovery processes that go really deep, go way below just surface level questions. It requires objection handling that isn't just like battering the prospect over the head. It's about actually changing how someone thinks and making them empowered to make this decision. That's how your objection process should look. If it's just a case of you going, what do you need to think about? It's not gonna work, okay? You need to have real tonality and emotional calibration where you know when to place a certain tonality, and you need to keep your emotions in check. You need to be this calm, certain, trusted advisor who the prospect genuinely trusts. And potentially you also need to learn identity-based selling, which is probably a bit complex for me to run through on this entire video, but it's understanding that people ultimately, they don't just buy products or services, they buy who that product or service makes them become. So it's that ability to weave that into your discovery process that can get you forward in that can actually enable you to compete at this elite level of sales. This isn't something that you're going to wing. This isn't something that 10 years in recruitment is going to particularly help with. It's going to give you a great foundation, but it's really not going to translate. Bearing in mind, I was in sales for 5 years before this. I'd ran my own agency for many years coming up to it, whereby I was training sales teams regularly, closing hundreds of millions in sales, and I did 3 months training before I took my first call. The second thing that you need to fully understand is this market, the market as a whole. If you're just going in blind and you don't actually understand the mechanics behind this online space, then you're going to struggle. High ticket sales predominantly covers, I'd say, 3 main industries. The first is online education. That's people selling courses, mentorship, coaching, or some other value-based service whereby you're taking someone from point A to point B through a paid service. Usually they are based from social media or from Facebook ads and Meta ads, and the high ticket closer is ultimately what guides a person over the line. High ticket remote sales exists of 3 main industries. The first is online education. That's courses, coaching, mentorship, and basically any product whereby you're selling information to an extent. The second is agency services. Agency services employ and it's whereby a business usually, or an individual, will employ a specialist in a certain area to perform a task, whether it's on a monthly basis or a one-off basis. Social media ads, it could be sales. Basically, that's what the agency space covers. And the final and third industry is business services. So this could be consulting, this could be mastermind events. Each one is going to have different nuances, it's going to have different styles of objections, you're going to have different prospects, but the frameworks that you're going to learn in the beginning are going to translate pretty much across all these areas because the aim is the same. You're looking to take someone from being just generally interested and booking a call to giving you the credit card details in the space of an hour. But for you to have the best chances and the best role, then you're going to have a good understanding of all these different industries, at least at a surface level understanding, so you can take advantage of every opportunity. Because once you're a high ticket closer, you don't need to just use one industry. You can sell in all these different industries, potentially trillions and trillions of dollars worth of different industries that all require high ticket closers, but you need to have a baseline understanding of all of them, so then you have the best chance. The third thing is that you need to have the right positioning. When I first started, I thought just having some experience was enough, and it wasn't. Guess what? Like any opportunity, there's a lot of people that will be trying to get the same role as you, and they might have invested 20,000 into mentorship. They might have already been on a similar offer previously. So how do you position yourself to stand yourself in the best possible position to land these sort of roles? And that goes with things like intro videos, sending personalized videos to the business that you're applying to, so you can actually show how you present yourself on screen. Because that's almost like your digital body language. If you can do like a killer intro video, it all of a sudden puts you to the top of the pile. Having a non-corporate CV, what I call a player card, is usually a 1-page A4 high-level overview of your experience and also your skill level. If you're looking to get hired in this space, people do look for either some high ticket closing experience in those industries, or that you've undergone mentorship with a reputable coach, so you know what you're doing. They're the two things that recruiters tend to look for. Presenting yourself comes down to a lot of different things, but it also comes down to the camera that you're using, the microphone that you're using, how you present yourself on Zoom. All of these key requirements are things that you might. Fourth point is you need to be willing to start from scratch. You need to check your ego in at the door. I was used to running my own business. I was used to being the boss. Believe me, it took some time for me to realize that I'm starting from zero again, because you will be doing. But the ramp up period in remote high ticket sales from 0 to 10K is very, very short. But you need to go to 0 to get to 10K, if that makes any sense. If you're trying to like position yourself in the middle as this like know-it-all, you'll never get there, because you have to have an open mind. You have to trust the process. Ultimately, when you're moving into this space, you've got to prove yourself all over again. But the thing is, if you're good, if you go to point one and actually learn it properly, you'll rise very, very fast. And finally, the freedom is real, but it requires discipline. Remote high ticket sales, if you're trying to balance it while drinking cocktails on the beach for the rest of the day, you're not going to succeed. You've got to show up. Yeah, you're not going to have to work the same hours as a 9 to 5. You're not going to sit in traffic, but this requires a mental level of discipline. You have to be congruent with your thoughts, with what comes out of your mouth and your actions. Because when you're congruent and when you're disciplined, you're in a better position to actually guide others to a place of decision. So that will require you to have a healthy lifestyle. It'll require you to show up every day. It'll require you to pull energy out of you when maybe you've gone through 3 or 4 calls where you haven't got the sale. And it's that 5th call where you could get the sale, but you've got to show up with the same level of energy as you did on the first call. So there's a mental resilience aspect to this, which is not spoken about, and it's very real. Some people burn out, some people let rejection get into their head. You've got to be disciplined, you've got to show up with the same level of energy for every single call. Ultimately, with this industry, you choose where you live, you choose when you work, you pretty much choose how much you earn by how much you're putting in, but no one's telling you to do it. Maybe for you, it might be the first time in your life when someone's not telling you to do something. So you've got to have that internal discipline that ultimately leads to success in this space. So if you've made it this far in the video, then the chances are you're pretty serious about making this work. So let me give you a quick roadmap of what you can basically start today. When you finish this video, you can go and take the first steps. So when it comes down to getting started from the beginning, phase 1 is skill development. This is where you're going to actually learn how to become a high ticket closer. Now you can try and piece this together from YouTube videos if you wish, but I would strongly recommend you get a mentor. As some of you may know, I do mentorship myself, but you need to find a mentor that you align with, and that might not be me. There might be someone else who you align with more. You think they're better, you think they've got more experience, then you should go with them. But find a mentor who you genuinely resonate with and who you believe can help you, because that's how I did it. So I can't really give you many options outside of that, because I've not seen many people be successful without some level of mentorship. If you're in a position right now where you don't really have the money to invest into mentorship, then I would say start learning anyway and start getting that foundational understanding of these processes and what these calls look like. Try and find other closers' mock calls on YouTube and break them down, write notes on them, write the questions down as they're saying them. That's going to be a key understand the pace and the rhythm of these calls, and then start saving money. Most mentors are like between 3 and 5K. So save 500 a month, in 6 months you've got enough money. But spend the next 6 months just gathering the information and getting that foundation, and that's going to put you in an even better position. So you might be able to start closing within 1 month of gaining some mentorship. But the skill development and the help from someone who's done it before, for me, has been imperative. Phase 2, which will overlap with phase 1, but during that process, once you've started learning the skills, then you need to start the market research. You need to start putting yourself out there into communities, into networks. You need to start fully understanding the 3 main industries that I went through earlier in the video, online education agencies and business services. A lot of mentors have their own communities where they just do all this for you. I do. So I basically just give you all of the opportunities. I give you all the education around the market. But if some mentors may just give you the training, and that's fine. So you'll need to do this aspect on your own, unless you go with a mentor or a program that basically has it all in one, like what I offer my students. Once you've done phase 1, phase 2, you should be in a position where your skill level is really starting to get there. You fully understand the market, you're speaking to others, you've started developing a network. Then it comes on to phase 3, which is positioning. How are you presenting yourself online, which is like your digital CV. You need to have a stock intro video. You need to have ideally like a script that you stick to. If you want to send personal intro videos to people, you need to have your player card ready. Again, some mentors may do all this for you. That's what I do for my students. I basically show them how to do all of this and give them examples of how they can position themselves so they are seen as the best possible light from recruiters and founders. So your mentor may do something similar, but if not, you need to do the research on your own and speak to other closers, take a look at their intro video, take a look at their CV and try to model it from that, because they are very different than corporate CVs. Then the 4th phase will be to get your first role. Now, dependent on who you are, if you're someone who's got sales experience, you've got that foundational experience, you could probably go to a pretty decent role quite quickly. If you have 0 experience and you come in like straight out of corporate or another sort of 9 to 5, then I would always suggest going for like a stepping stone role, something that's maybe part-time, something that's not going to get you to 20k a month straight away, because the pressure might be a bit too much. I would probably say go for a stepping stone role for 3 months, earn 3 to 5k a month, and just sort of like get your feet wet a little bit before stepping up to the real 20, 30k a month roles. If you're already in sales, you could probably take that first step straight away and go from like 3 months of training, positioning, market research into a super high paying role. That's the only variance I would say. Now, this is ultimately where most people stop. They get a role, 10k, happy days. Let's move to Bali. Let's chill out on 10k a month. Do not do that, okay? There's 3 different types of people when it comes to sales and high ticket closing. You get the people who are just winging it. Every single sales call, every sales interaction. These guys never usually scrape past 5k a month. This is your typical sales guy, right? And then you have people who sort of just like dabble a little bit in and out. They are sometimes getting a bit of training, they level up some months, they do well others. And then you've got the 3rd level of salespeople, and these are the elites. These are the outliers. These are the people that are committed to mastery. You should try and be one of those guys if possible. So even if you're banging it at 10k a month, you should be looking at 20k. When you're at 20k, you should be looking, how do I get to 30k? Because there is no ceiling to this. As much as some people might mention there is, you might not see people around you. I know people, I did myself, but I know people who earned even more than me in high ticket sales just from commission. I made the shift into coaching when I hit about 50,000 USD. I did around that mark for many months and then shifted into coaching. But I know a lot of people who just stuck to closing and they're exceeding that level right now. But they are so invested into the skill level. So even though you hit that first good month, keep leveling up, keep getting mentoring, keep pushing the boundaries of what you think is possible, and you will get there. Ultimately, here's the thing that no one's going to tell you on social media, all these coaches out there. This ultimately costs you something. Of course, it costs you a little bit of money to get mentoring if you're going to go down that road, but it costs you something that can be even more difficult than that. It's going to cost you your comfort. If you've been in sales for a while, if you've been in normal 9 to 5 for a while, you're probably pretty comfortable. You've probably not got bailiffs knocking at your door. You could probably pay for your Netflix subscription. You probably go to a nice gym and you have nice weekends with your friends. You're pretty comfortable. This is going to require you to become uncomfortable again. You're going to have to be willing to look stupid. It's probably going to feel like a bit of a risk. It might feel like it's not going to pay off straight away. It's going to require some hard work in the beginning that you're not going to get paid for. It's going to require real hard work of just learning and being that complete beginner again. All of these things are pretty uncomfortable and you've got to be okay with that. But ask yourself, what is the cost of staying where you are? Is it really where you want to be? Is it really comfortable, or is it more settling? If you've been wishing you had this level of like location freedom for a while, what is another year in the same position actually worth to you? Sure, you'll survive, you can still afford to go out at weekends, but Are you truly living to the level that you want to be? Because I was in your exact shoes and I made that shift, and it was scary and it was very humbling. But on the other side of it, without a doubt, it's the best thing that I ever did. And to be honest, I don't really have any regrets in life, but if I had one single regret, it's that I didn't do it sooner. So if you're serious about this, if you've done researching, doing due diligence, and you're ready to take action, just start today, and your future self will thank you. Now, if watching this video, I feel like the sort of person that you would like to get mentorship from, there's a link below this video where you can book a call with me, or you can drop me a DM on Instagram if you want to have a chat before a call. Or if not, go and find a mentor that you do like, not some northern idiot. Okay, hope that was helpful. Ciao.